If you go to a roti shop in Trinidad and Tobago and asked for a chicken roti, this is the roti you'll get. Dhalpuri is a split pea or dal stuffed roti or flatbread that's eaten with various curries, stews and chikaris, and it's popularly eaten as a wrap roti, with your preference of bone-in or boneless meat, curried aloo or potatoes, veggies or shrimp. As with most of our Indian dishes, this was brought to the islands by the Indian indentured labourers, and it has evolved to suit the Caribbean palate. The Indian Dhalpuri roti is made by stuffing the dough with yellow lentils and then deep frying it, and it looks similar to our fried bake, so it's like a stuffed fry bake. There are so many different ways to make Dhalpuri, and today I'll show you the Trini version. Most people are scared to make this, but I promise you if I could do it, you could too. It's a labour of love. Let's make some Dhalpuri. The ingredients are quite simple. You need yellow split peas, and I'm making 1 pound today, but we'll use about ½ pound for the recipe and I'll freeze the rest. You'll need some turmeric or haldi or saffron. That's what we call it in Trinidad and Tobago. You can use powdered or fresh if you want. We'll need some roasted ground geera or cumin, and some garlic, hot peppers and or pimento peppers, some bandhania or shadow beni, and some curry leaves. So my mom actually makes hers with just the garlic and the hot peppers, but my husband loves to see those specks of green, so that's why I'm using the karripillay or the curry leaves as well as the bandhania leaves for more flavor and a pop of color. You need some sifted all-purpose flour, salt, sugar and baking powder, or you can use yeast if you prefer. The traditional Indian version is actually unleavened, so they don't use yeast or baking powder. Lastly, you need some type of fat, and I'm using ghee, but you can also use oil or butter. Adding fat actually inhibits the gluten formation, which results in a nice soft roti that's easy to roll out as thin as you want. Step 1 involves picking, washing and boiling the split peas. Pick out any small pebbles if there are any, but that's usually common if you buy loose peas. I still like to do it, it's better to be safe than sorry. Put up a pot of water to boil on medium-high heat. Wash the split peas thoroughly, and once the water is at a rolling boil, add the split peas in. Now add 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder and mix well. This turmeric is actually very potent. Look at that vibrant orange color. Skim the froth off from the top and take out 1 cup of that boiling water. I'll use that to knead my dough. Usually my mom reserves some of the liquid that she boils the peas in, and she lets it cool down completely, and then she kneads the dough with it, but I like to knead it with the boiling hot water. The peas will take anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to boil, depending on the brand or the quality of the peas you get. Now let's move on to step 2. Add all the ingredients to the flour and mix it until it's incorporated. Now make a well and add that boiling hot water in there. And it's better if you use a spoon for this. Hot water actually also inhibits the gluten formation, which will help me roll out my roti super thin, just like I like it. And it also results in a soft and silky roti. So I'm using 1 cup of the boiling water and a 1/4 cup of regular lukewarm water to form a soft but not a sticky dough. So my mom actually likes to use that yellow water from the split peas so that it gives the dough a nice color. For me, it's about the color as well as that hot liquid going into the flour that makes the roti super soft, and it also helps me roll it out really thin. If for some reason you added a little too much water and it gets super sticky, just add a little more flour and work it in. Now cover with a damp paper towel and let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. So my dal is ready now. It actually took 25 minutes to boil completely, so the grains are tender and nice and they still hold their shape. Use the back of a spoon or your fingers to press on a dal grain, and it should mash completely and have a nice powdery texture. Strain the dal and rinse with some cold water. Now you can spread it out and let it cool and dry, Or you can speed up the process by putting it back into the pot and letting it toast in that dry pot on high heat, and it's going to be ready in no time. This should just take about 5 minutes. While that's toasting up and drying out, let's separate the large dough ball into smaller loyas. I got 6 loyas, but you can make them smaller to fit on a small tower or griddle. Cover and let it sit while we prepare the dal filling. Add the dal and seasonings to a dal mill, and if you don't have a dal mill, you can use a food processor like I'm doing, and you want to pulse it until smooth. Pulse it as many times as you need to get a fine, smooth texture, and you want to make sure you scrape down the sides in between. And if you want to really do it the old school way, then roll it out using a baler or a rolling pin. When it's ground into a smooth and powdery texture, add it back to the hot pot and toast until the mixture feels light. When you now start mixing it, it's going to feel heavy, and as it toasts in the pot, it's going to get lighter and nice. Kind of like when you're making parasad, you know, when you move the flour around and it's heavy and then it starts getting light. That's kind of what I mean. Add salt and roasted ground geera and taste and adjust accordingly. This should only take about 8 to 10 minutes. So we are on to step 4 now. It's time to fill the loyas. Before we do all this, I'll heat up my griddle so it's ready to go. And I like to heat it up on a low heat, so by the time I'm finished filling and then rolling out, it's hot and ready. I have my ground dal, some partan or dry flour, a measuring cup, and the loyas. Here I'm demonstrating how it's done at the roti shops. They usually measure out the filling into 1/4 to 3/4 cup portions, or even more if it's for bigger Dhalpuri roti. And then it's rolled into a compact ball, so it's easy to stuff the dough. And here's how I like to fill mine. Dip the loya in some flour and sprinkle a layer of dry flour inside. Then add some filling, not too much or it's gonna burst through, or it might give you some problems to seal. I hold the dough in my non-dominant hand, and then using my dominant hand, I pinch and squeeze to seal. And this is how my mom taught me. I'm not a pro, but her methods always work. So let me show you this again. Open out the loya by pressing out the edges, a little bit thinner than the center, forming it into a cup-like shape. Now add some partan or dry flour inside, add some of your filling, and I'm adding about 6 tablespoons, which is just under a half cup. Pinch and seal it tightly and continue to fill the rest. Here's another way to seal it. You can just squeeze the edges toward the top and tightly seal it. If you're making a lot of roti, don't fill them all at once. The longer they sit on the counter is the softer it's gonna get, and it's definitely gonna burst. My mom, I don't know how she does it, I guess because she's a pro, she fills like 20 of them at one time, and then she rolls out like 5 or 6 of them, puts them all over the counter, and then cooks it so quickly. Gently press out the dough to get the dal dispersed throughout the roti, and then using a baler or a rolling pin, roll out the roti as thin or as thick as you want. But if this is your first time, be very careful or it can burst if you roll it too thin. And make sure you dust some partan or dry flour while you're rolling it out to prevent it from tearing. Here I'm using some avocado oil and I'll spread it on my flat top griddle using my trusty enamel cup. And this is the way my mom always makes her roti. This is the way I grew up seeing it. Of course, you can use a brush and you can cook this on a tower, but I love this Blackstone griddle. There's no oil runoff into my burners and it's so easy to clean up. Add the rolled out dough and add a layer of oil on top. The heat is on medium here and I'm cooking it for 30 seconds on each side, flipping it twice for a total cook time of 90 seconds or 1 minute and 30 seconds. You can use a dabbler or even a spatula or a spoon handle for turning. So because this is super thin, it cooks really quickly, but extend the cooking time for thicker rotis. Fold it in half and then in half again and place it onto some parchment paper or into a cooler to keep it nice and warm and to keep it soft. If you overcook it, it will become stiff, so just be mindful of that. If you like brown spots, then increase the temperature and shorten the cooking time. Here I'm rolling out another roti. When you're belaying the roti, move freely and try not to press down on the baler. Just let it glide on the dough while applying minimal pressure. Flour as you go and roll it out into a 16-inch round if you can. Oil the tower or griddle and add the flattened dough. Oil the top and when bubbles appear, flip and lightly oil the next side. Fold and take it off. Most of the times the roti will swell, so be careful of the steam. Dhalpuri requires oil for cooking just like bus-up-shot, but feel free to lessen the amount, or you can use a healthier oil like I'm using. When all your rotis are cooked, admire your hard work and enjoy. And whoever you cooked for, I hope they help you wash the wares after. These rotis are so silky, thin and incredibly soft. I found some curried chadon in the freezer, so I'm having my roti with that, as well as my mother-in-law's spicy plum achar and mango kachilla. I hope this video was helpful and informative and you learned something new. Thank you so much for being here. I'm not a professional, but I thought I'd share what works for me. Like I said, if I could do it, you could too. I actually prefer bus up shot, but my husband loves dhalpuri, so I make it occasionally for him. He actually requested this video because he said he wants to learn how to make dhalpuri. So this is for you, hubby. I hope you all tried my recipe. Thank you so much again for watching. Like, share, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!